Hey there, how's it going? Welcome to Dominions 5. My name is Mew. This time around I'm going to be playing a multiplayer game set in the Middle Age, and I'm going to be playing as Sceleria. In this video I'll just talk a little bit about Sceleria. I'll talk about the god that I made, and then finally I'll talk about the game settings, the mods, the map, and all those little details. And the next video that goes up in this series will be turn 1 to 3. So if you just want to see gameplay, wait for that video. This one's just an intro. There should be 2 videos in this series going up each week, and I'll aim for Tuesdays and Fridays, I think. Unless something happens. Before I start though, I'd just briefly like to say thank you, as always, to my patrons for supporting me in running this channel. And if you do enjoy this series, or any of the series on the channel, consider subscribing if you're not already, so that you can stay up to date with the series. So Sceleria are a, let's say, heavily skeleton-focused nation, and we are worshipping a pretender named Trendy Halloween-themed bakery. This game started around Halloween, so felt like it was, appropriate. Although by the time you watch these videos, it might be closer to Christmas, so somewhat less appropriate depending on how exactly you decorate your home for Christmas. Sceleria is primarily a death nation, death and astral, and that's pretty much it, honestly. Like, they are kind of death and astral, that's what you get. Their Recruit Anywhere mages are 1 point of death, 1 point of astral, and they're sacred. And their cat mages are bigger death, bigger astral, with some minor picks in air and water. So, not a huge amount of variety, but you can do plenty with astral and plenty with death, so not the worst thing in the world. Sceleria also have an interesting ability to reanimate undead with their priests. So we can have lots of priests everywhere reanimating, I think it's ghouls, soulless, skeletal warriors, and long dead horsemen, depending on how good a priest you are. So we can have lots of skeletons everywhere. Other than that, we have some pretty high quality infantry units as well. And I think our infantry is a little bit slow. Certainly our mages are slow, because a lot of them are old. So I think our cap mages are probably going to have some old age penalties for map movement and stuff. I've never played Sceleria before. I tend not to replay nations if I can help it, because I quite like doing new stuff. But hopefully they're fun. So that brings us to the god. Trendy Halloween-themed bakery is an imprisoned rainbow. This is overwhelmingly just a bless for mages. Sceleria does have 2 sacred units that they can recruit out of their cap, but I don't think I'm going to use them very much. I think I'll mostly just be using the mundane troops backed up by lots and lots of skeletons, and then the bless is just for mages. And so there's a few things I wanted out of the bless. First of all, I wanted lots of undead commands so that all of our mages and all of our priests could lead as many skeletons as possible. And then I figured, well, if I'm going to be using priests for leaders, I might as well make them just good leaders for everything. So I also slapped fire in the bless as well, for a bunch of mundane leadership. The Divine Emperor itself only starts with S1, so all of these were kind of paid for. But they're all 10-point paths, so they're fine. So we stick a load of Death Magic on for Undead Command, Fire Magic for Inspirational Presence. I think the best resists on the mages are probably Poison Resist and Cold Resist. And that's just because a lot of your undead stuff also has Cold Resist and Poison Resist. So if you've got those resists on your mages too, then you can pretty easily just lay down, cold spells and poison spells everywhere. So Foul Vapors and... what is the cold spell called that I'm thinking of? Grip of Winter? Yeah, Grip of Winter. So I think Cold Res and Poison Res would be better though. On the other hand, if you take Earth Magic, you can forge crystal coins with some Astral. So that gives you an additional Astral booster that it's really easy for you to forge. So I decided to do the Earth instead, pick up Fire and Shock Res, because why not? Fire and Shock Res is a really efficient bless. But I do think Cold Res would also be kind of nice on this build. Astral then, since we have Astral 1 on the chassis, kind of need to pump that up and also take an Astral Bless. And yeah, paired with the Earth, it also lets us forge crystal coins. So there's lots of good Astral Blesses that we could have used. I kind of wanted to try out either Forecaster or Penetration though. And I leaned towards Penetration because Forecaster only works in combat, but Penetration works everywhere. And there's lots and lots of strategic rituals we'd quite like to use that also require pen checks. So Mind Hunt and Vengeance of the Dead, stuff like that. So I figure overall penetration's probably better than range, but I don't know, I think combat range is very good as well. I've been in a few games now where I've seen people using spell range blesses, and it's always really frustrating actually when when you're in combat with something that you think you're safe from, and it turns out you're not. So I would really like to do a kind of combat spell range bless at some point, but I went with pen in this case. It also helps our priest as well. We have some weird holy spells that let us charm enemy units. And we have one for charming sacreds and one for charming undead. I can't remember if the undead one requires a magic resist roll. I assume it does though. So pen helps there as well. Yeah. I think pen will be a good bless. So that's the astral one I went with. I think there's lots of things you could do at this though. This really is just a bless for mages. It's just to keep them alive, help them lead stuff, give them some resists, and then pen on top is kind of a cherry. This chassis then with all these paths can also forge a ton of boosters. I don't think we can forge a Skullface because we need to hold a staff. I think Skullface is 5. So we can't do the big death booster unfortunately, but we can do 2 astral boosters, we can forge earth boots, we can forge both fire boosters, we can forge both nature boosters. Yeah, this guy can forge all kinds of boosters for us as well. So, really great rainbow overall. If we find some Jade Sorks or something, we have Poison Resist ready to go for Foul Vapors. Yeah, I think in terms of the bless this will be fine. The chassis itself is just a very, very efficient chassis to get a big bless like this. And it's also an innate spellcaster as well. I really enjoyed innate spellcasting on my Oracle in Gen, which is another series on the channel. Innate Spellcaster seems such a busted ability. The great thing about Innate Spellcaster on an Oracle though is that the Oracle's very difficult to kill. This guy comparatively not that difficult to kill, so maybe he's not... It probably won't be as easy to just teleport this guy around doing Innate Spellcaster things with a Ring of Returning. But maybe, I don't know. I think it would be more useful to have this guy with an army, and then he just instantly puts up battlefield enchantments. But yeah, cool chassis as well. Then we get scales. We're only Dominion 4, but we're probably going to be building a lot of temples everywhere. In general, I don't think we need that much economy on this nation because we can just summon a lot of stuff and animate lots of skeletons. I think that'll be okay. So I didn't really put scales points anywhere in particular. I just kind of went with 1 in all the positives. Back in the day, I remember people saying that if you put 1 in all the positives, it's like a noob build that noobs do because they don't know what to do at their points. Which is true, I didn't know what to do with my points, so it's just it's just 1 of everything. If we claim some thrones, we've got space, if they've got scales buffs on them, you know? We don't need productivity in particular, we don't need rec points in particular, we don't need anything in particular. So yeah, just a little bit of everything, a bit of luck as well, be a bit luckier. And then the real scale that I put money into is magic. So I really want to help out with getting magic done. Since we're going to mainly be leaning on our mages, I don't suspect we're going to have much in the way of high quality troops for a while. It's just going to be thousands and thousands of skeletons backed up by some powerful buffed mages. So research is going to be a big priority for me. I'm not very good at researching usually, but we'll give it a try this time around. This game is running 2 mods. One is the JBrereton balance mod, which is a balance mod that makes a number of small tweaks and changes to the game in the interests of multiplayer balance. It doesn't really make any changes to Sceleria though. The big changes are that my troops have +1 magic resistance, and I think that might be it. Oh no, there's also a fun little change where our infantry troops can be promoted into each other. So I'll show that off during the playthrough, but yeah. Basically we've got like 3 ranks of infantry soldiers who have spears and things. And in JBBM they can get promoted and become the higher ranking versions, which is kind of cool. But other than that, there's no changes to Sceleria, I don't think. I will mention, however, that scales are a bit different in JBBM. I think order and productivity and heat are all unchanged. So that's fine. But in JBBM, growth is only 1% income change. So growth 1 is 1% income, and death 1 would be 1% income loss. And also only 0.15% population growth or population loss as well. So growth overall is a less impactful scale, but also death is a less disgusting scale as well. Luck is twice as good, and misfortune is twice as bad. So luck actually has an impact in JBBM games, and misfortune is harder to just take as a dump stat. And magic scales a bit differently as well. Magic 1 is 1 research, Magic 2 is also 1 research, and Magic 3 is 2 research. Same for drain as well. So those scales are a bit different in JBBM, but yeah. It does mean you see a slightly wider variety of builds. In particular, I know that there's a few players in this game running high death, high luck builds, which I don't think you ever see in vanilla. So that's probably worth pointing out. So that's the main mod being used in this game. I did mention there are 2 mods though. The other is Cassia. Cassia's mod nation. Some people think that Cassia is balanced enough with the other nations that, yeah, you can just include it. Just spices things up a bit, I suppose. So you might see Cassia in game as well. It's a mod nation made by Ramp. You might have seen Cassia in my... I think the Adaida playthrough had it. So, yeah. Same nation. Might have been tweaked a bit since then. But it's a Chinese bee-themed nation. I'm not sure, but we'll see it in game when we see it. I think that's everything. All of the mods I mentioned are available in the description below. I'll also put a link to the current JBBM changelog, so you can look through all of the changes that JBBM makes if you're interested. I'll also put a link to the map that this game is using too. I think this game is going to be running Ye Olde map, but I could be wrong. But if it is that map, it's a cool one. It's a hex-based custom map. So I'll put all the links to that stuff in the description below. There's also a link to my Patreon if you want to join that. And I think that about covers everything. So thanks as always for watching, wish me luck. I'm not a great player, but you know, I do my best. And the next video that goes up will be turn 1 to 3. So hopefully, I will see you then.